Most people think that running a flight school is very risky and financially dumb. But I can tell you that I've learned more about money running this business than most people ever will. Welcome to Mojo Group. If you're new to the channel, my name is Michael. I've had the privilege of running a flight school for the last 3 years. I'm also a pilot, and I've been a pilot for 10 years now. And so today I'm going to talk to you about flight school business. And what prompted this video actually is in the 3 years that I've been running my flight school, Look Up Flight Academy, I've had several, and I mean several people reach out because they're looking to start a flight school themselves. So they would ask me, things to do, what type of airplane they should get. And guys, my typical response is, don't do it. Just don't do it. And the reason being that unlike any other business that I've personally ran, and this is my sixth or seventh business. Okay, I've ran about 6 businesses. Actually, no, this would be my seventh. I've run about 6 businesses prior to this, had 2 successful exits, the other 4 failed miserably. Okay, but this is the first business that I would tell you has taught me so much about people, so much about finances, and so much about bookkeeping and taxes. And I'll break some of that down in this video. Unlike most businesses that you may have been involved in, a flight school actually requires more safety or more concern to safety, partly because what you're actively doing can be a life and death situation. So there's a higher liability when it comes to running a flight school. But more so, a flight school is very capital intensive, and I mean intensive. There's an old saying that in aviation, to make $1 million, you have to spend 2. And there's absolute truth to this. Before you can even get started running a flight school, you need to make some significant investment. And those investments can include having a space at the airport. You need airplanes or an airplane. I've seen people get started without even having a roof over their heads, right? But at least you need an airplane if you're going to train people how to fly, and airplanes are not cheap assets to have, even for a high middle class individual. The reason being that airplanes may be affordable to buy, but once you start operating them, then the cost starts to rise. And of course, you have commercial insurance, which you have to get if you're teaching people how to fly in the airplane. Also, this industry can be cyclical or straight up hot and cold. Reason being that flying is not a necessity. It's not as necessary as, say, driving a car. So typically your customers are people who just want to scratch an itch or want to accomplish a long life dream. Okay, so if you're starting a flight school, you're going to deal with people who come in, get excited, and then 2 weeks later you don't see them anymore, or they leave for another 2 weeks and then come back 2 months later. Life is happening for whatever reason. So you have that, and guess what? Every time you have clients who go in and out and or life is happening to them, it also affects your bottom line. So your cash flow in the beginning, it's probably going to look not so great. Now, here's one of the first money lessons I learned in running a flight school: your margins. When you're setting margins or you're cutting out prices for your flight training or hourly costs, make sure you add on to it at least 25% more. And the reason I say that is, in this space, margin is not about greed, it's actually safety. When you think of all the risks that you don't control, aka weather, aka FAA, keep in mind that you can administer training all day long as an operator, but guess what? Once you've trained your student, then that student has to go through a check ride, and you don't control that schedule. And sometimes what happens is your student may be waiting a longer time, and you have to train them some more just to get them back to the finish line again. And of course, you can pick a day to fly and or take exams, and weather decides, no, it's just not your day. And little things happen here and there that could set you back. So when you set up your pricing and your margins, make sure you leave room for even more. And what I strongly advise is that you don't try to be the cheapest guy in town. I've seen so many flight school operators go out of business because they do that. And they also do that partly because they're flying pieces of crap as an airplane. So don't go that route. I'd rather you charge a little bit more for your training and you're able to actually deliver a quality product to the end client than trying to be the cheapest flight training school in town. It would not work. Money lesson number 2 I learned is to never overpay for maintenance. Okay, what I mean by that is you're actually better off paying even double for a qualified mechanic than paying or trying to save money by hiring somebody who is just way less quality. As somebody who's dealt with that, I want to highly warn you, you're better off paying someone who knows their stuff and who can solve problems for you double the amount per hour on your salary than trying to save some money with maintenance, because your mechanic and the quality of work they do would directly correlate with your uptime, which also directly correlates with the bottom line of the business. And with that, I strongly recommend organizing your books properly, which is lesson number 3. Until I got into this business, we generally, all my businesses, we have 1 or 2 main accounts and we operate through those accounts. And what I realized is when it comes to flight training, you're better off having multiple accounts for all the different departments. So for example, at our school, we have an account for sales and marketing. We have a bank account for maintenance. We have a bank account for operations. We have a bank account for just about everything we do, right? So that way, when there's funds needed for this or that, we go directly to that account and we're not skimping or transferring money here and there. For a while there, we did that for so long where whenever we needed money to fund something or pay for a particular cost, we just take it out, right? But that also keeps you in this rat race. But to keep better organized books, I prefer to just have all the different accounts and being able to go to any individual account for exactly what is needed. Number 4, scaling too fast. I am absolutely guilty of this. As you know, when we launched Lookup Flight Academy 3 years ago, we went balls to the wall, getting enrollments and getting students and all that good stuff. Now, it's always great on paper when you've made the investment, you have the space, you have the equipment, and of course you're like, okay, time to go, time to run. And we did that. But there were mistakes here and there financially that cost us a lot of money in the beginning that we didn't anticipate. For example, when we first started Lookup Flight Academy, most of our students out of North Carolina were out of state. What that meant for us was we needed to provide accommodation for those students to be able to train with us full time, right? So providing accommodation, but also guess what? When students come in and they're training at your school, some of them may need jobs too. So ultimately we were solving all of these different problems that weren't really related to flight training. So in retrospect, I would say learn to walk before you run. If you just try to scale really fast, then you're probably going to create some problems for yourself that really wasn't necessary. Number 5, fixed costs. The fixed costs in flight training are silent killers. As I mentioned in the beginning, this is a very capital intensive space. And so once you get started, you have some heavy overhead costs, which means the space that you're in could be a hangar or a building or both. In our case, we have a nice big hangar attached to an office building. So we have all of that. Also, we're paying for tie downs. So those we pay anyway, whether we fly or not, those expenses have to be paid. We have insurance on our buildings. I swear to God, this is the most insurance I have on any business that I've been involved in. Okay, so in a flight training business, you generally will have a commercial policy for every single one of your equipment. You can have a fleet policy, or you can have an insurance policy for each airplane. You have a general liability insurance to cover your space. Depending on the airport and or your landlord, they may require other forms of insurance, aka insurance for the building. We had to have one. Your instructors, you may require insurance for your instructors. You may require renter's insurance for your students. I say all that to say that no matter what happens in that business, whether you're flying or not, these are all overhead costs that has to be paid anyway. And of course, depending on how small or big your operation gets, you're going to have to hire people. And so in our case right now, we have 13 to 14 staff members. Those staff members have to be paid regardless. So once you start growing your flight training business, your people will likely become the most expensive cost that you have. So you add that to your overhead for the space, you add that to your overhead for insurance, and you add that also to the overhead. If you're leasing your equipment, guess what? Generally speaking, you're going to have some cost attached to the lease agreement, whether you're flying the airplane or not. So those are some financial factors that can make or break your business, and why you should expand that margin that I spoke to you about earlier. Here's the next lesson I learned about money with flight training business. Compliance has a price to it. What I mean by that is, whether you're a Part 61 school and or a Part 141 school, there is a cost, okay, to compliance. In our case, in the process of becoming a 141 certified school, we had a cost attached to that. And of course, depending on how long the process actually takes you, the FAA doesn't care about how much you're spending. They just care about you meeting the requirements. So if you're a Part 61 school, generally speaking, you don't have a crazy overhead cost for compliance. But if you are in the process of becoming a Part 141 school, you're going to have some additional costs. That includes personnel, because you're going to need to have a DOM for sure. You're going to need to have a chief pilot or chief flight instructor. And of course, every time you deal with the FAA, something may be required and there's a cost attached to it. And so those are all the things that I learned while we were in the process of becoming a Part 141 school. But also post 141, guess what? Your cost actually goes up slightly. Again, you're hiring new personnel, you're keeping records, because records is a big part of that certificate. So you may need to invest in additional software, additional personnel, and of course the FAA may require you to either change some things about your equipment and or enhance some things about your equipment and also the curriculum that you're using. So all of that comes with additional costs. And here is the biggest lesson that I've learned in running a flight school. Control beats profitability 100% of the time. What I realized 2-3 years in is the fact that if you're just laissez-faire about this business, you come to realize that you don't control much. Like anything else you may be involved in, when it comes to flight training, you have very little control. As a matter of fact, practically the only thing you may control is the space that you have and or the equipment. But in terms of the operations, if you don't have an in-house DPE or examiner, that's a big part of the business, because as I said, you can administer the training, but in the end, your student needs to book a check ride, which is not controlled by you. Okay? You don't control the weather either. So everything you do is governed by the weather. And of course, if you're Part 61 school, you don't necessarily control the students and their pockets. So a student can show up this week and then they're gone for another 3 months. And the best way to mitigate all of this, obviously, get more control. And what we did is we made sure to prioritize our Part 141 certification, because with that, we can control a lot of these aspects now. Now we can control our students' schedule because they're under an accelerated program, they're under a structured program. Also, a Part 141 certificate actually opens the door for you and or your school to have an in-house examiner. What that means is, once you train your students, no longer would you have to go get on somebody else or a third-party schedule to administer a check ride for the student. You can have a personnel within your school that does that. Okay, so these are all the things that we thought about when we were looking to get our Part 141 certificate. Other ways to have more control of your business activities is to set up systems. Okay, I'll be the first to admit that I didn't know everything, especially in operating airplanes and or commercial training. But I've learned so much in the last 3 years that I feel like I can do anything. So having systems in place will save you time and money. And what systems also means is that you don't deviate. You don't call it A today and then it becomes B tomorrow. It means you have a system and structure in place and everybody follows that system and structure. And for me, I've learned so much about structure and also managing our cash flow and managing our enrollment. All that will make for a successful business. Anyway, that is my spiel for the day. If you have any questions whatsoever about running a flight school, you're just curious, leave in the comments below. And of course, I try to answer most of them and or in my email. And also, if you're actually looking to become a pilot or learn more about our pilot program, make sure you check out lookupflightacademy.com. We can either get you your leisure pilot license, or if you want to fly professionally, that's actually the business that we're in. We love taking our students from zero all the way to commercial pilot. If you want to learn more about that, just go to lookupflightacademy.com, go to that contact us page, leave your contact there, and somebody will reach out to you. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Again, my name is Michael, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.